My beloved brothers and sisters, let me start by asking you a simple but powerful question. Do people really need to know everything about you? Have you ever paused for a moment and thought, don't people know too much about me? You see, we live in an age where privacy has become a luxury. People post what they eat, where they go, who they meet, and even how they feel, all for the world to see. And then we wonder why there's so much drama, why the eyes of jealousy have surrounded us, why things go wrong just when they seem so right. My brothers and sisters, let me remind you, not every blessing needs to be broadcast. The Prophet ﷺ taught us a very beautiful principle. Seek help in fulfilling your needs by keeping them private, for every possessor of a blessing is envied. Hadith in Tabarani. Subhanallah, there's wisdom in secrecy, there's barakah in privacy. My beloved brothers and sisters, let's talk about something we often overlook. In a world where everything is shared and every moment is broadcast, people have started to believe that if something is not seen, it must not be happening. But that is not the way a believer thinks. We don't measure our success or sincerity by how visible it is to others. In fact, one of the greatest blessings you can have in this day and age is privacy. Yes, privacy is a blessing. It is not a weakness, nor is it something to be ashamed of. It is protection, it is peace, it is dignity. Today you'll find many people under pressure to show what they're doing. They'll share what they eat, where they travel, who they're meeting, how they're feeling, sometimes even before they take a moment to thank Allah for it. Why is that? Because society has taught us that the more you show, the more valuable you are. But that's not true. Your value is not in how many people know your business. Your value is in how sincere you are, even if no one is watching. When something good happens to us, we rush to post it. We don't stop to think, who's seeing this? Who's feeling envious? Who's silently wishing they had what I have? The reality is, not everyone watching you is happy for you. Some are curious, some are competitive, and some, let's be honest, some are waiting for you to fall. So why would you give them front row seats to your private life? Why would you turn your personal blessings into public entertainment? There is wisdom in silence. When Allah grants you a gift, whether it's wealth, love, a job, a family, or even guidance, protect it with gratitude and privacy. Not every blessing needs a caption. Not every good day needs a camera. Allah gave you that moment to enjoy, to reflect, to be thankful, not to promote. And yet, we've made promotion a part of our worship. We go on Umrah or Hajj, and before the tears fall, the photos go up. We help someone in need, and before the dua is made, the post is shared. We fast, we pray, we learn, but instead of thanking Allah privately, we seek approval publicly. Ask yourself, whose attention are you really trying to attract? My brothers and sisters, our faith teaches us modesty. And modesty is not just in how we dress, it's also in how we live, how we speak, how we share. Some things are meant to be between you and your Creator. Some things are meant to remain special because they are unseen. Just like a jewel is safest when it's hidden, your blessings are safest when they're protected. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're wise. You see, the one who truly understands the value of a blessing knows that it's not to be flaunted, it's to be preserved, nurtured, and appreciated quietly. Think of the people who were happiest. They weren't necessarily the ones shouting the loudest about their lives. Often they were the ones whose names you didn't even know. They were content. They didn't need the world to cheer them on. They had inner peace because they relied on Allah and didn't feel the need to advertise their progress. We must learn from this. We must learn that contentment doesn't come from attention. It comes from connection with Allah. Let me remind you of something beautiful. When you do something in secret for the sake of Allah, that act carries a special reward. The angels write it down without distraction. The sincerity is pure, the intention is protected, and the reward is multiplied. But when we do something to be seen, when we crave the praise of others, when we're disappointed that no one noticed, then we need to ask ourselves, who were we really doing it for? This is why privacy is such a gift. It protects your sincerity. It keeps your heart focused. It shields you from the evil eye. It teaches you that not everything needs an audience. You can pray your tahajjud in the quiet of the night and no one ever has to know. You can give charity quietly and no one has to applaud you. You can forgive someone in your heart without telling the whole world about it. This is the essence of real spirituality when it's between you and your Lord. Now, let's be real. We all enjoy sharing good moments sometimes, and that's fine so long as it's done with wisdom. If you're sharing to inspire, to uplift, to remind others of Allah's mercy, and your heart is clean, then insha'Allah there's benefit. But if you're sharing to compete, to impress, to be praised, to prove something, then stop. Pause, ask yourself, why do I need this attention? What void am I trying to fill? Social media has created a culture where people pretend to be happy while struggling inside. You see the highlight reel, not the full story. You see the filtered smiles, not the silent tears. And then you compare your real life to their curated image and wonder why you feel behind. But remember this, not every smile is sincere. Not every face that smiles at you loves you. Not every compliment is genuine. Some people will smile just to get closer, not because they care. Some will praise you in front of others and criticize you behind your back. That's the reality of the world. And if you make your happiness depend on such people, you will always be disappointed. The world is full of actors. People who will show you what you want to see, say what you want to hear, but hide what they really feel. That's why the believer doesn't get fooled by appearances. The believer knows that sincerity is rare and that true friends are few, so be careful who you trust. Be careful who you open your heart to. Not every person who listens to your story deserves to know your struggle. Sometimes your biggest enemy is not far away. They are close. They know your habits, your routines, your plans, because you told them, because you shared too much. And when things go wrong, you wonder why. My brother, my sister, not every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes Allah is saving you from people who smile too much, praise too much, ask too many questions, and never made dua for you even once. That's why it's important to keep your circle small and your trust in Allah big. Let your friends be those who remind you of Allah, not those who remind you of the dunya. Let your closest people be those who don't need to see your every step to believe in your sincerity. Sometimes the most loving people are the ones who don't comment, don't question, don't watch your stories, but they pray for you when you're not even aware. They remember you in their du'as without needing attention. That is true love. That is true friendship. Protect your heart. Keep parts of your life between you and Allah. Keep your dreams private until they're realized. Keep your worship sincere until it grows. Keep your family life sacred. Keep your relationships protected. When something is special, you don't put it on display. You cover it. You honor it. That is what brings peace. And when you start living like this, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel freer because suddenly you're not living for likes, for approval, for comments. You're living for purpose, for growth, for Jannah. You start making decisions not based on who will see, but on who will be pleased. And the one who matters most is always watching. My beloved brothers and sisters, this life is too short to waste on trying to impress people who don't even care. Every minute you spend crafting an image for others is a minute lost in sincerity with Allah. The people you're trying to impress today, many of them won't even remember you in a few years. But Allah never forgets. He sees every hidden intention. He knows every silent dua. He appreciates every private struggle. So choose wisely. Do you want to be known by the world or remembered by Allah? There is no honor in becoming popular for things that don't matter. But there is immense reward in being sincere in the things no one ever sees. That sujood you made in tears. That fast you kept without telling anyone. That charity you gave in secret. That forgiveness you granted when you were deeply hurt. These are the moments that build your akhirah. Guard your moments. Guard your blessings. Guard your heart. And remember, silence is not weakness. Privacy is not secrecy. Modesty is not backwardness. These are shields. These are safeguards. These are signs of wisdom. My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in a time where eyes are everywhere. You walk into a room and before you even speak, someone is watching. You achieve something small and before you thank Allah, someone is already judging. You post a smile and someone is already assuming your heart is free of sorrow. This is the reality of the world. We live in a world where public eyes have become sharper than ever, but the hearts behind them not necessarily softer. And the more you allow those eyes into your life, the more you invite harm you may never even see coming. Not everyone who watches you is clapping for you. Some are waiting for you to fall. Some are counting your steps not to celebrate your growth, but to question your journey. That is why our faith teaches us to be cautious, to be mindful of what we expose. Public eyes attract private harm. When you put your entire life out for display, you make your peace vulnerable, your happiness easy to target, your progress easy to damage. There's a reason the best of people from the past didn't publicize their deeds. They protected themselves, not out of fear of people, but out of wisdom. You might wonder, what harm can a simple post do? What's the danger in sharing a happy moment? What's wrong with letting people know how far I've come? The harm is subtle but real. When too many eyes are on your life, you start living for them. You stop doing things for Allah and begin doing them for validation. You find yourself more concerned about how something looks than how it pleases your Lord. Slowly your intentions blur. What began as a genuine effort becomes a performance. And the worst part is you don't even realize it. The Prophet taught us that envy is real and the evil eye is real. Some people don't need to say a word, they just look, and that look carries envy. And envy isn't always intentional. Sometimes it's unconscious. They see your blessings and instead of saying MashaAllah, their heart twitches with comparison. That moment, though silent, can have real consequences. This is why we seek refuge in Allah from the evil eye, and we are taught to keep some things hidden. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every blessing needs to be posted. Some joys grow better in the soil of silence. When we expose too much, we forget that not everyone carries a clean heart. Some people are in pain and your happiness triggers that pain. Some are failing and your success reminds them of their loss. So instead of making dua for you, they develop resentment. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you placed your joy in a space where not everyone can receive it with love. That is why the wise people of the past would complete their work before speaking of it. They would achieve silently and let the result speak for itself. They didn't advertise progress, they sought barakah in it. There's a beautiful secret in keeping your progress between you and Allah. When He knows, that's enough. When He's pleased, that's success. When He supports you, you don't need the crowd. But when we become obsessed with being seen, being praised, being recognized, we slowly turn our hearts away from Allah's gaze and toward the eyes of people. And here's the problem with that. People are never satisfied. One day they applaud you, the next day they doubt you, one moment they love you, and the next they question your sincerity. But Allah, He never changes. His mercy, His appreciation, His rewards are consistent. If Allah knows what you did, you've already won. If Allah knows your intentions, who else needs to understand? You prayed and no one noticed. Allah noticed. You gave charity and no one praised you. Allah recorded it. You forgave someone silently, Allah elevated you. You worked hard and didn't show the world, Allah saw every effort. What more could the heart want? When we understand that the gaze of Allah is more powerful than all the opinions of mankind combined, we stop seeking approval in the wrong places. You see, the heart finds peace when it disconnects from the noise of people and connects to the silence of sincerity. That silence, that secret between you and your Lord is where your real value lies. It's where the real blessings are born. Think of the seed planted underground. It's hidden. No one sees it. But in that hidden space, it grows roots, gains strength, and eventually blossoms. But the moment it's exposed too early, it weakens. The same is true for your goals, your faith, your struggles. Don't expose them too early. Let them gain roots. Let Allah water them with barakah in silence. Then, when the time is right, the result will bloom for the world to see it because you forced it, but because Allah willed it. So many people today suffer from anxiety and pressure, not because life is too hard, but because they've allowed too many eyes into their private space. They fear judgment, comparison, competition. But all of that begins to fade the moment you shift your gaze back to Allah. When you work for Him, not for people, the pressure lifts, the fear disappears. You walk with purpose, not performance. You speak with intention, not attention. That is the beauty of living for the one who never misjudges, never misquotes, and never misunderstands. My brothers and sisters, if people don't know how much you pray, that's okay. If they don't know how much you've struggled, that's okay. If they don't understand your dreams, your silence, your plans, that's okay. Allah knows. And when Allah knows, nothing else matters. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to explain your path. You just need to stay sincere and trust the one who sees what the eyes cannot. Sometimes you're doing everything right, but people still question you. They doubt your intentions. They misinterpret your actions. They create stories that don't exist. That's not your burden to carry. That's their lens, not your reality. Don't waste time trying to fix how others see you. Focus on how Allah sees you. If He sees sincerity, that's success. If He sees effort, that's victory. And if He sees patience, that's strength. Let's take an example many overlook. When you make dua, you don't broadcast it, you don't announce it to the world, you raise your hands in private, you whisper in humility, you cry in secrecy. Why? Because that's where the real connection is. You're not performing, you're not putting on a show, you're simply surrendering to the one who already knows what you need. And that form of worship, hidden from all, is among the most beloved to Allah. That's what makes it powerful, that's what makes it beautiful. The privacy makes it precious. So why do we treat the rest of our lives differently? Why do we rush to announce our next move, our next dream, our next big step? Sometimes silence is your best strategy, because silence protects sincerity. Silence shields you from sabotage. When your plans are not on display, they grow without interruption. You build quietly, you heal quietly, you rise quietly. And then one day, when Allah decides it's time, the fruit of your silence appears. That's how blessings work. Quiet roots, loud results. And in those moments when people question your silence, don't be shaken. Not everyone will understand your decision to keep things private. But that's okay. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You owe your Lord sincerity, that's it. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You don't need to defend your peace. Sometimes being misunderstood is part of being sincere. The prophets were misunderstood. The righteous were questioned, but they never traded Allah's pleasure for people's comfort. You may feel alone when you choose privacy in a world addicted to exposure, but know this privacy is power, not because it hides weakness, but because it protects strength. It shields the heart from vanity. It guards the soul from distraction. And it reminds you that not every treasure needs to be displayed to be valuable. In fact, the most valuable treasures are hidden. When you reach that point where you no longer seek applause, you've freed your heart. You don't crave compliments. You don't get discouraged by silence. You walk your path with confidence because you know who you're doing it for. And the one you're doing it for never sleeps, never forgets, and never overlooks a single tear, a single prayer, or a single sacrifice. My beloved brothers and sisters, don't measure your worth by how many people notice you. Measure it by how sincere you are when no one is watching. Don't confuse popularity with purpose. Don't confuse noise with value. What people say today, they may forget tomorrow. But what you do sincerely, what you do for Allah, is written forever. Sometimes you'll see people doing less, but getting more attention. Don't be discouraged. Maybe Allah is protecting your deeds from being contaminated. Maybe He's preserving your reward. Maybe He's training your heart to be pure. Because the minute we start doing things for people, we give them power over our hearts, and the heart was only created to bow to one Lord. Live quietly, pray sincerely, work humbly, and let your results speak when Allah decides the time is right. Not every achievement needs to be announced. Not every gift needs to be displayed. Protect your blessings, protect your peace, and most importantly, protect your intention, because intention is what Allah looks at first. And if your intention is clean, everything else will fall into place, even if no one ever sees it. When Allah is your witness, you don't need anyone else. When Allah sees your sacrifice, you don't need the world's praise. And when Allah loves you, that is enough to outweigh all the misunderstandings, all the judgments, all the silence of people. Because His love heals, His knowledge comforts, and His mercy rewards in ways no human ever can. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest burdens we carry in life is the weight of other people's assumptions. The world is filled with voices, some are kind, others are sharp, and many don't even know the full story but feel entitled to interpret it. People see you walking one way and immediately assume why you're doing it. They hear a word from you and build entire judgments around it. They catch a glimpse of your silence and start filling it with their own noise. But here's a truth we often forget: what they assume is not your problem. What they say behind your back is not your responsibility. Let them assume. Don't let it consume you. You see, people will always talk. That's the nature of the world. You do too little and they say you're lazy. You do too much and they say you're showing off. You stay quiet and they say you're cold. You speak up and they say you're arrogant. It never ends. And if you try to adjust your life to fit every opinion, you will exhaust yourself chasing illusions. You lose sight of your own direction trying to please people who themselves are lost. There is no peace in living for people's approval. The real peace comes when you hand over their opinions to Allah and say, Ya Rab, you know the truth and that's enough for me. We have to remember that assumptions are built on incomplete information. No one truly knows your heart but Allah. No one knows your intention but the one who created you. People might see your actions but they don't see the tears behind them. They might hear your words but they don't hear the prayers that came before them. They might notice your absence but they don't feel the pain you carry. So why allow their limited understanding to define your self-worth? Why allow their false stories to write your reality? You know your journey. You know your Lord. Keep walking. Keep striving. Don't let their noise silence your purpose. When people assume the worst of you, it's not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it's a reflection of what's inside them. Their lens is clouded by their own pain, their jealousy, their past. So when they look at you, they don't see your truth, they see their wounds. And instead of healing, they hurt others. But the beautiful part of it all is that Allah sees through every lie, every misjudgment, every false narrative. And He will always bring clarity when the time is right. So your job is not to fight every rumor. Your job is to keep your heart clean, your efforts sincere, and your focus on what truly matters. There will be days when you feel misunderstood, not just by strangers, but by those closest to you. You'll want to explain yourself, to defend your name, to correct the wrongs. And while sometimes that may be necessary, most times the best response is silence, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Because silence holds a strength that arguments cannot. It says, I trust Allah to reveal the truth. It says, my dignity is more important than proving a point. It says, my peace is not up for negotiation. You have to protect your heart from being polluted by people's opinions. Because when you allow their assumptions to take root in your heart, it becomes a storm inside you. You start doubting yourself. You start fearing judgment. You become anxious about your next step. But when you say, let them assume, you are not giving them permission to harm you. You are refusing to give them power over you. That's a powerful shift. That's when you begin to grow. That's when you begin to breathe freely again. And this leads us to another truth. The more people know about you, the more vulnerable you become. That's not just a social observation, it's a spiritual principle. There is wisdom in keeping parts of your life private. There is wisdom in having a space in your life that only Allah knows, because the more people know, the more they talk. The more they talk, the more they misunderstand. And the more they misunderstand, the more they try to shape your life with their words. But you weren't created to be shaped by public opinion. You were created to be guided by divine revelation. Many times we invite problems into our lives by oversharing. Not everything needs to be posted. Not every detail needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be expressed. There's a reason Allah created the heart as a place of secrets. Some things are meant to stay between you and Him. That's where they remain pure. That's where they remain protected. Because when too many people know your plans, your goals, your blessings, they become targets of envy, of gossip, of ill wishes. And even if the harm doesn't come directly, it comes subtly. It weakens your focus. It shifts your intention. It disturbs your barakah. There's a beautiful saying, speak about your plans after they succeed. Why? Because premature exposure brings unnecessary energy. People begin to watch you not out of support, but out of comparison. They wait for you to fail. They question your process. And in that noise, you lose the sweetness of your journey. But when you work quietly, grow privately, and let Allah be your only witness, your progress carries a different kind of strength. It becomes sincere, it becomes stable, and it becomes unstoppable. Even in matters of the heart, privacy is a form of protection. When you love someone, when you're building something pure, keep it sacred. Not everyone needs to see it. Not everyone can understand it. And not everyone will be happy for you. Some people smile with their lips but frown with their hearts. So protect what's precious by keeping it hidden, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because what the world doesn't know, it cannot ruin. We live in a world that glorifies exposure. The more you show, the more attention you get. But attention is not the same as value. Just because many people are looking doesn't mean you are winning. True success often happens in silence. Look at the sun, it rises every morning without making a sound, but it brightens the whole world. Your job is not to make noise. Your job is to bring light. And light doesn't need an announcement. It just shines. Sometimes people will say, why are you hiding? Why are you so private? Are you afraid? Number, you are not afraid. You are focused. There's a difference. You're not hiding because you're ashamed. You're hiding because you are nurturing something sacred. You are preserving your peace. You are guarding your blessings. And that's an act of intelligence, not fear. That's an act of spiritual strength, not weakness. You'll notice something interesting in life. The more you share, the more drained you feel. Because every time you open up, you give away a piece of yourself. And when you give too much to people who don't value it, you start to feel empty. But when you reserve your energy for the one who truly values it, your Lord, you feel renewed, you feel uplifted, you feel protected. That's the beauty of living with intentional privacy. There are times when people will keep asking about your life, your plans, your decisions. And you may feel pressured to explain, but remember, you don't owe people your every move. You owe them respect, kindness, and honesty, but not exposure. It's okay to say, Alhamdulillah, things are going well, and leave it at that. You don't need to open every door. You don't need to turn every page. Let some chapters remain between you and your Creator. The people who truly care for you will not demand access to every detail of your life. They will respect your silence. They will make dua for you even when they don't know your struggle. And they will support you without needing to control your story. Those are the people worth keeping close. The rest, let them assume, let them speculate. You have no obligation to correct every rumor. Your peace is more valuable than your image in their minds. And here's another beautiful truth. Sometimes Allah hides you for your own growth. He keeps you away from the spotlight so that you can develop strength in the shadows. He closes doors so that you can build character without distraction. He withholds applause so that your sincerity can deepen. Don't fight His protection. Don't chase a stage that Allah is saving you from. There is more barakah in a hidden seed than in a loud performance. The seed, when nurtured properly, grows into a tree that provides shade, fruit, and comfort to others. But it had to stay hidden first. Not everyone needs to know everything about you. Keep something for yourself. Keep something for Allah. Keep something sacred. May Allah protect us from the evil eye, from jealousy, and from exposing ourselves in ways that harm us in this world and the next. Ameen.